full-time workers, and of course the board members are doing lots of the work in preparation, and it's lots of volunteer work combined with the workers.
У них есть работники, которые работают на полную ставку, но также есть очень много волонтерской работы.
A few words about me. My name is Miika. I'm the executive director of CEL, or head of the workers, and whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I'm the one responsible of the day-by-day activities.
Немного фактов о Мике. Его зовут Мика, и он глава федерации.
For me, I've been doing a lot of things in Finnish esports community for the last 10 years. For example, coaching, and I root our own esports organization. I've been an esports journalist and doing some youth work, and I've been having my own company as an entrepreneur.
За последние 10 лет Мика делал очень много для федерации, и работал и журналистом, проводил различные тренинги.
Yeah, I'm especially interested in junior coaching and academies in esports, and of course that means I'm also interested in entry-level competition.
Также в прошлом он обучал и был заинтересован в киберспорте.
And the games I play mostly myself is League of Legends, Teamfight Tactics, and PUBG. I play multiple different games. Those are the ones I spend most of my time with.
Также очень много времени Мика потратил на игры.
So yeah, we'll talk about a little bit about the referee training or referee courses in Finland. I give you some basics, why we do it, and what is the goal about the referee courses.
Сегодня мы поговорим немного о начальном уровне рефери курсов.
So why we need to train some referees for the competitions? Well, the first and main thing is the competitive integrity. It's so important. I don't even have words to describe how important it is to have the competitive integrity in the tournaments we are hosting.
Зачем же нам нужен тренинг по рефери? Потому что интеграция в участие – это все, и это очень важно.
As you know, the esports scene nationally is pretty small, so there is always connections all around. Everybody is connected with everybody, and that makes the competitive integrity harder, and that's why we need the trained referees who knows how to treat everyone equally without any effect of the connections.
Сама группа E-спорта очень маленькая, и многие люди соединены, чтобы избегать драм, скандалов и просто не разъединяться.
Yeah. The competitive integrity and trust is very important for the event organizers, sponsors, teams, players, and even audience. Because if there is no trust for the equality and competitive integrity, the tournament is failed.
Коннект очень важен для организаторов, спонсоров, команды, игроков и для аудитории.
Yeah, and of course, the last thing, it is important to make sure that the competition is fair for everyone involved.
Очень важно убедиться, что соревнования важны для всех.
Yeah, and here are some of the basics of our referee courses. The main goal is to have trained referees. So our federation's tournaments have trained referees which we can use.
Базовые рефери-курсы, главная задача федерации – это провести сам курс для участников, для турнамента и для организаторов ивентов.
Yeah, and the main goal in our courses is to train referees that are both competent and professional. And it is important that we give enough of background to those referees, so when they go to the tournaments, they are ready to take up the responsibility.
Очень важно, что они дают бэкграунд, который может помочь на турнаментах.
And the referee courses are mainly focusing on training the referees. It's not focusing to train event organizers, so it's important to know the difference between referee and event organizer.
Очень важно знать разницу между рефери и ивент-органайзером, потому что обучают именно рефери.
Yeah. And of course, the training and the courses, they only give you the basic knowledge, the deeper knowledge you get when you go and act as a referee and get some an experience on the job. So the courses are not providing highly trained professionals. It's only achievable when you get experience.
Очень важно понимать, что это базовые курсы и что важно, чтобы опыт нарабатывал ты сам.
And our courses are divided in two parts. First, there is a theoretical part. It's usually a 1 weekend long theoretical part, and then there is a practical training in an actual tournament or event where they can gain the experience.
Обучение проходит в два этапа. Первый – это теория, а второй – это практика или турнир.
So here is the structure of the theoretical part of the courses. So it starts with the opening words, and we explain the structure for everyone involved.
План теоретического обучения – это начинается с открытия и самого плана обучения.
Yeah. The part one is the task of the referee and some basic tournament structures which you can use when hosting a tournament.
Часть первая – задание на рефери и структура турниров.
And the second part is involving the physical tournament area and the online platforms to host the tournaments.
Вторая часть – это турнирное пространство и турнирные платформы.
And part 3 is about tournament rules and punishments if you break the rules.
Третья часть про правила и наказания, если ты не выполняешь правила.
Yeah. Part 4 is about game-specific differences, because in every game you have a little bit different styles of refereeing and hosting the tournaments, and the rules are different between the games, so it's important to know the differences between the games.
Четвертая часть про специфические отличия игр, потому что очень важно знать различия правил и просто различия между играми.
And the theoretical part ends with the group exam, when we go back to all of the 4 parts and ask some questions, and the trainees, they can answer them together.
Пятая часть – это экзамен на всю группу, когда возвращаются на 4 предыдущих этапа.
And about the practical training in an event or tournament, that happens after you've completed the theoretical part, then you go to the practical training.
И немножко про практическое задание. После того, как вы прошли теоретическое, вы проходите на практическое.
And the practical training is always supervised by someone who has completed the referee training or is otherwise accepted by the Finnish E-Sports Federation.
Пропускают тех, кто закончил теоретическую часть или кто разрешен по Федерации финского киберспорта.
After the tournament, the supervisor either passes the practical training or denies the practical training. So the supervisor has the power to decide if the trainee is accepted as an official referee or not.
Can you repeat?
Yeah, the guy supervising the practical training can decide if it's passed or not.
Практическим заданием вы можете, так сказать, решающее, то есть решают, прошел или нет.
And if the supervisor does not let it pass, the trainee has to go either another practical training or has to go a completely new training with practical training and theoretical training.
Если решили, что вы не прошли, то можете повторить практическое или вернуться к теоретическому.
Yeah, and now I want to showcase you our referee course part 1 about the task of the referee and the other things involving the part 1. This is not the full course and not full of the part 1, but this is an example on the basics where we start the referee training.
Это первый кейс рефери курса, и он не полный, это не полный курс, это не полный первый блок.
So, the first we go and see what is the definition of the referee. And here is the list of the things that defines the referee.
Здесь список вещей, которые должны выполняться на рефери.
Yeah. Referee makes sure that competitors complete their performance and competitors act and are treated according to tournament rules, which are visible to everyone. And the referee makes sure that the competitors have the good enough environment and information to compete in the highest level. So it's referee's job to make sure that every competitor has the information and environment good enough to compete.
Рефери утверждается в том, что у каждого участника достаточно информации и возможностей, чтобы соревноваться на самом высшем уровне. Также проверяют, что участники на своих площадках и что они выполняют и соблюдают все правила.
And here is some of the tasks that referee has during the tournament and the fulfillment of his job. The first one is to supervise and observe the performance of the competitors.
Здесь немного заданий рефери перед самим турниром.
And second one is to help the competitors to do their performance. If they need any help, they need any assistance, the referee is always there to instruct.
Рефери также помогает участникам, у них могут быть ассистенты и просто помощники.
Yeah. And referees, they have to study and memorize the tournament rules. And in many times the referee is also one who is creating the rules.
Рефери должны учиться и запоминать правила турнира, и рефери тоже с этим помогает.
Yeah. And referees have to interpret the rules when needed. So when there is something that is not readable in the rules or is conflicting with some other rule, the referee has to make the decision how to go on forward.
Рефери может менять правила, если их трудно понимать или просто их нужно поменять.
And it's also referee's job to keep and document the rules, the scores. So when the match ends, referee has to document the scores, so it is documented and the scores can be checked out afterwards.
Рефери должны записывать, документировать баллы и счет.
And referee has to communicate with other referees and tournament administrators and sometimes with the broadcast team and other guys involved in the tournament and events.
Рефери также должны сотрудничать с другими рефери и администраторами турнира.
And referee has to know the equipment, PCs, consoles, whatever, what the competitors are using to compete, and they have to be able to give the basic technical support if there is some problem with the equipment.
Рефери знают, какие девайсы используют участники, и также рефери должны дать хотя бы базовые условия для турниров.
Yep, and these tasks can vary between the tournaments and events. Like bigger events, maybe the referee job is simpler because it's only doing the referee stuff, but in a smaller events, the referee is also the technical support and maybe administrator and maybe the guy who welcomes the competitors and he's the one building the computers and taking them out after the tournament. So it is variable between the tournaments and the size of the event.
Задания могут изменяться, и рефери помогает всем участникам.
So it is really important that the referee is unbiased.
Очень важно, что рефери это не база.
Yeah, and what I mean about an unbiased referee, the most important thing is that the referee is equal to everyone, regardless of age, gender, race, nationality, or any other thing that can divide people. So the referee has to act as an equal treatment to everyone.
Важно понимать, что в рефери может участвовать каждый, не в зависимости от возраста, пола, национальности, расы или каких-то персональных вещей.
Yeah. And when you are acting as a referee, you should act as a referee. Like you are the faces of the tournament. You are the one standing behind the team. So acting accordingly is very important.
Когда ты работаешь как рефери, ты должен быть как рефери, то есть ты стоишь за всю команду, и ты должен выглядеть как рефери.
Yeah. And you must remember that your role as a referee only ends when you leave the venue or your shift or whatever ends and you strip down to any signs or clothing that shows you as a referee. So you must act as a referee all the time you are in the venue and having the badge or clothing showing you as a referee.
Ты должен вести себя как рефери все время, и рефери не может разглашать счета и информацию за пределами.
And of course, it's important that the referee, they can't bet on the games, they can't give inside information about the tournament or the competitors. It's important for the competition integrity that the inside information is not shared by the referees.
Рефери не могут ставить на соревнования и не могут делиться информацией.
And here is the basic goals of the tournament. So of course, the first one is to have fun and compete in the highest level. Like that is the main thing when you are hosting a tournament or attending a tournament. You want to have fun and you want to compete.
Самые базовые цели турнира – это веселиться и соревноваться на высшем уровне.
Yeah, and the tournament should always try to grow and develop the competitive scene. So you always want to create something new, something bigger, something better than before.
Расти и делать что-то новое, потому что мы всегда хотим расти, делать что-то новое и создавать новое.
And of course, you want, personally, you want to do something new, you want to do something better, you want to learn something new. So it's important that everyone attending the tournament also gets personally something. If it's a new experience or some new lesson learned, it's something, and then you come back to do it again.
Выучить что-то новое и делать что-то лучше, чем раньше.
And of course, you need to remember that in the tournament there is a lot of goals to fulfill. You need to fulfill your own goals. You need to fulfill your sponsors' goals, or you want to fulfill the organizers' goals. You want to fulfill the teams attending goals, and it's many parties who have some goals in the tournament.
Ты должен выполнить все цели, свои личные, спонсорские и организаторские, потому что очень много целей.
Yeah, and here is a typical day of a referee. If you have a one-day tournament, this is pretty much how it goes. Before the games, you do the preparations.
День как рефери. У рефери очень много дел, и, конечно же, надо готовиться перед игрой.
And some of the preparations can be welcoming the competitors in the arena and adding them the tournament system.
Перед началом знакомить участников с турниром и добавлять их в этот турнир.
And after all competitors have been added to the tournament system, you seed the teams and you create the bracket, and then after that you are ready to start the matches.
После того, как рефери добавил участников, он должен создать команду.
Yep, and during the games, you are the one observing the competitors and their performance.
Рефери начинает матчи.
And if there is some problems, you are the problem solver, and of course you are the one who is keeping the score.
И если есть какие-то проблемы, то, конечно же, рефери – это тот человек, который решает эти проблемы.
And when all matches have finally ended, it's time to announce the results and gather the information for the prizes.
После игры рефери говорит результаты и дает информацию о призах.
And yeah, this is the typical day if everything goes right. And when things go wrong, it's 100 things above this, but this is the basic structure of the refereeing.
Это типичный день рефери, и это день, когда все идет очень хорошо. Если что-то пойдет не так, то все, конечно, усложнится.
And this is about the things I want to share about the referee stuff. I want to still talk about a little bit more before I go to the next topic.
Can you repeat?
I want to add some things outside the presentation about the referee stuff before we go to the next topic.
Мика сейчас добавит немного о работе рефери перед тем, как мы пойдем к следующей теме.
We have developed the referee courses since 2016, and we've had around 10 of the referee trainings this far.
Курсы рефери существуют в Финляндии с 2016 года.
And we are still trying to find the right structure for courses, and we are always developing it further.
И они продолжают менять и искать правильную структуру.
Yeah. And I promised to translate our training for you, so your federation, Estonian federation, can use our materials to have their own referee courses in the future.
И также курсы рефери хотят сейчас их переводить, чтобы мы могли ими воспользоваться также.
Yeah. And I hope I will visit the first referee courses myself and see the results. I hope to visit your first referee courses myself.
Он надеется, что он проведет вам первый рефери-курс сам.
If you have any questions about this or the referee courses or anything, we have a questions and answers section after the presentation. So keep them in mind and feel free to ask after the presentation.
Если у вас есть какие-то вопросы, то вы можете чувствовать себя свободно, чтобы спросить их после презентации.
Yes, and now I want to show a few things about other educational stuff in Finland concerning esports.
И сейчас нам покажут другие методы изучения e-спорта в Финляндии.
Here is some examples how the structure of the education in esports is in Finland.
Здесь немного примеров, как структура e-спорта в Финляндии работает.
E-sports education, different courses and trainings, even full e-sports studies has risen in the last few years, and they are now a big part of the Finnish e-sports ecosystem.
Последние года e-спорт обучение и даже простые курсы очень меняются и развиваются.
Yeah, the biggest thing I think right now is the bachelor's degree of esports business in Kajaani University. It's a full university studies concerning esports business.
В e-спорте бизнесе также есть бакалавр и преподается в Kajaani University, чтобы знать и уважать полное обучение.
Yeah, and many high schools, universities, even vocational schools are offering esports courses or activities or hobby groups or whatever. And even some elementary schools are having after-school activities in esports.
Многие школы, университеты и даже младшие классы имеют после обучения e-спорт активности.
Finnish esports federations and some of the colleges offers the studies for aspiring esports professional coaches, counselors, and other roles in esports. And we think it's important to give the choice to learn other things in esports and not only gaming.
Финская федерация и некоторые колледжи дают возможность учиться профессионалам, тренерам и очень много разных ролей, чтобы не пробовать только игры.
And the latest development is that multiple Finnish sport institutes are offering their services to esports athletes also, so they can have their high school studies while still getting training and coaching on their sport, and now esports is part of these sports institutes.
Финская федерация предложила институтам e-спорт, и это теперь часть обучения.
And there is the small example of our educational stuff. I'm more than happy to come again and tell you more about the larger scale of Finnish education in esports, and I am sending some examples and project studies to Estonia Federation to use on their planning on the educational stuff in Estonia.
Здесь самые базовые вещи об обучении Финляндии, и Вика был бы рад приехать снова и рассказать больше и об Эстонской Федерации.
Yep, and now I want to show a few things of the whole esports ecosystem in Finland. As I said, we've been doing this now 11 years, our federation, so there has been developing quite a large ecosystem in esports in Finland.
Здесь экосистема e-спорта в Финляндии, ее очень часто меняли.
I am sorry that the image is in Finnish, but I will go I will translate it to English for you. But yeah, here is our path to pro. It starts from very young age and it continues all the way to the professional level.
Здесь путь от самого низкого уровня до про.
Yeah, it's important that the young people, even kids, they have an education, tutoring, coaching, and they have a possibility to compete through their childhood and young age.
Классно, что есть возможность у детей или у подростков, чтобы обучаться, соревноваться и просто интегрировать в их жизнь e-спорт.
And this player path, it is something we need to work together. Every part has to do their own part. Esports federation, school, institution, clubs, military, families, event organizers, cities, government. They all have to do their part for this to be a reality.
Can you repeat? I don't understand something.
Yes, the last one.
Окей. Федерации e-спорта, школы, институты, клубы, училища, семья и многое другое должны работать вместе, чтобы преодолевать.
Yes, and now I go and tell you about which acts we have done to make this player path possible. So it starts with the yellow from the young childhood when you are a kid. It starts with starting the gaming as a hobby from schools, at home, at after school activities, in hobby clubs or whatever.
Это система или путь от самого детства до профессионала. Сначала это начинается как хобби, игры, послешкольная активность и просто как хобби.
Yeah, it's important that you have the tutoring and coaching from the young age. Like if you play football or anything, you get the coaching when you are really young. But in esports, it's not possible at the time.
Очень важно получать обучение в детстве и когда ты только начинаешь, но в e-спорте это невозможно.
Yeah, and then when you are a little bit older, maybe grade 7 or 7 to 9 or your young teenhood, you can choose your path to be a competitive player. It's not maybe even a hobby anymore. It's something you want to train. You want to join a team. You want to compete. So it is important that the tutoring and the coaching is also available in your teenage years.
Когда ты немного постарше, в свои подростковые годы, ты уже можешь соревноваться, создавать команду, и это немного больше, чем хобби.
And at this stage, it's important that you have places to get coaching. You can compete in a team, and you get tutoring about your rhythm of day, like how much do you have to sleep to be fully awake to train the esports, and how much should you train and how much should you play daily?
Очень важно получать обучение и задаваться разными вопросами.
It is important that the tutoring and coaching goes all the way from young kids to adulthood.
Очень важно понимать, что путь может начинаться с маленьких детей до взрослых.
And then we get to the next part, which is playing competitively, and then it is important that we can provide high class coaching and high tier competition to compete, because if you want to be a pro player, you will have to play in the highest level.
И последняя часть – это соревнования, и ты должен понимать, что на этом уровне ты уже можешь соревноваться как про и обучаться все больше и больше.
And if you complete this path, you should be able to be a professional. It doesn't have to be a professional gamer. It can be professional content creator or coach or whatever you want to be. It's so many ways you can be a professional in esports.
На этом уровне ты должен становиться про, и неважно, каким про игроком, когда ты делаешь контент или просто организатором.
And on the right, we have listed the same things that we listed before, the esports federation, school institute, military, etc. They are just listed there to show how many different organizations have to work together to bring this player path available.
Очень много организаций должны понимать, что они могут соревноваться и вводить e-спорт.
In Finland, we haven't yet been able to completely implement this path, but we are doing a lot of things in all of the areas here, but it's still not complete, and especially in the younger age kids, there is still much work to do.
В Финляндии очень много еще работы над e-спортом, потому что она не до конца интегрирована в обучение.
And here is a few words about the competitive structure in Finland.
И здесь начинается новая тема – структура соревнований в Финляндии.
So the highest tier is of course the national team. Our national team competes in international, European and Nordic tournaments and leagues in different game titles.
Самая большая ответственность лежит на национальной команде. Она играет национально в Европе, в Норвегии и в разных странах.
Yes. And the highest tier of Finnish competition is of course the national championships, which are tournaments or leagues. We have the national championships in around 10 or 12 different game titles, and those titles are the most popular or most played titles in esports.
Национальные турниры и лиги, национальные турниры и лиги для игр, которые популярны и которые больше соревнований.
And last 2 years we have implemented the tournaments and leagues for the students, mostly in universities, but also in high schools and elementary schools even.
Важно, что сейчас турниры и лиги интегрированы для студентов и даже для школьников.
And of course we want to provide entry-level tournaments for everyone, there's something for everyone who enjoys esports can join. So no requirements of skill or anything, just something you can come and compete.
Самый начинающий, вернее, открытый уровень, чтобы все могли иметь открытый доступ и неважно какой скилл.
As I said before, we have still a lot of work to do with the younger kids and to provide the best environment for the younger players, we need to implement own tournaments and leagues for the young players because it is important for their development that they can play against the other kids which are at the same level of competition.
Должны начаться программы для детей и молодежи, и следующий шаг будет, чтобы создать турниры для молодежи.
And yes, here is my presentation about the referee courses and educational and competitive stuff in Finland. And now I am more than willing to have your questions answered. You can either ask me in English or in Russian because I have a good translation here. So feel free to ask anything. It doesn't have to involve the topics in the presentation. If you are interested in some other topic or some other areas we do in Finland, feel free to ask.
Это была презентация о курсах рефери и e-спорта в Финляндии. И сейчас вы можете задавать свои вопросы на английском или на русском языке. Вопросы.
The first steps have already been taken. There is established speaks and talks with the Finnish Esports Federation and Estonian Esports Federation. So the first step is that we can share our knowledge to Estonian Federation and we can help them implement all these and much more than these in the presentation to Estonian too. And we have already made the mistakes that there is to make, so we can help you not to do the same mistakes.
Мне нужно переводить, да? Окей. Финляндия может помочь Эстонии в e-спорте, чтобы Эстония не совершала тех же ошибок и не проходила дважды экспириенс в Финляндии.
Yeah, and my visit here is the only first step in a larger cooperation between us and Estonian Federation, and also the other Nordic federations are doing some cooperation with Estonia. We have agreed that the Estonian Federation is accepted in a cooperation group between the Finnish, Danish, Swedish and Norwegian federations.
Визит Мики сюда – это первый шаг для сотрудничества с Эстонской Федерацией и норвежскими федерациями.
Any other questions? Yeah. Yep. Back then, I think we had one CSGO team that played professionally back then, and now there is around 300 professional players in Finland. Like back then, it was like 5 or 6 professional players, and 2011 now it's like 300 or something like that. So like in 2011. There was no esports community in Finland pretty much, and it is created during the last 10 years.
So, would you say that it's not important to have professionals already when we see
Not, not maybe it's not important. I think. Like I think the professional players, they are a good way to share the message about the federation, or they are good ways to share message about creating a community. But like I don't think it's crucial to have a professional players to have a federation. Like the federation should cover much more than just professional gaming. It should cover everyone who is playing competitively. But yeah, of course it helps if you have established players or teams. Of course it's a plus, but it's not something you have to create the federations.
Такая беседа.
In Finland, League of Legends is popular game.
Sorry?
League of Legends popular.
Actually not very popular. We have a lot of players who played League of Legends, but there is not much professional teams or competitions in League of Legends. There is some very good players in Finland, and then there is a big difference, and then there is a lot of pretty good players, but because we don't have that much of competitions in Finland in League of Legends, there is a big gap like between the professional players and other players, and there is nothing in between. But I would hope that there is much more competitions in League of Legends in the future in Finland. It's something I've been organizing in the past. At one time I was pretty much the only one organizing competitions in League of Legends in Finland. Now we have a little bit better structure and some competitions, but still League of Legends is not nowhere near the main game in Finland. We are CSGO people, pretty much. CSGO is here, and the other games are here, and the League of Legends is here in Finland. Yep.
When founded, did you have anyone to talk to and develop? Or you had to learn how to?
We didn't have, actually I think that the Finnish federation is oldest in the Nordics, so like usually Finland, when they need guidance, they go to Sweden or Norwegian the ways, and I think our federation is older than the Norwegian and Swedish federation, so we pretty much did it ourselves. But we did look example from the Finnish sports federations. Like the federations in all of the sports are pretty well developed in Finland. So we took example from the traditional sports like football and ice hockey, and checked what they have done, and tried to implement some of those practices in esports. But yeah, we've done a lot of mistakes in the past, and it's something I like to share, that nobody else does the same mistakes, and it is important, I think, nowadays to have the cooperation between the federations, so we can take it further than before and do it better than before. And actually, the Finnish federation is the only esports federation in the world that is part of the National Olympic Committee. So we are the only country in the world that the Olympic Committee established the esports as a sport. And I hope in a few years we are not the only one. I hope the Olympic committees all around the world will recognize esports.
Yes, as you mentioned that traditional sports, do you think so there are no major differences between traditional sports and esports?
There is differences, and in some ways there aren't. Like esports is a team game in most of the games. Like the coaching and the club activities and junior activities, they are pretty similar than what is the junior programs in traditional sports. But when we go to highest level, there is a very big differences between traditional sports and esports. And the biggest, I think, is like in traditional sports, the federations own the sport pretty much. Like the ice hockey federation is the head of ice hockey in the country, but in esports the game titles are owned by the game developers. So the federations don't have the last say in most of the matters concerning the game titles. So the role of the federation is different because you are not the title holder of your game titles like in traditional sports.
Like you cannot change the rules or something like that, right?
Yeah. You have to ask permission even to have national competition in some games. Like in Overwatch, the Blizzard has denied the right for the national competition in some cases. And for League of Legends, the Riot games, they can decide who can have the national competition in some cases, and Valve have in CS:GO and Dota they have less restrictions, but they still have the final say in things. So like you can't decide everything in the federation like you can do in a traditional sport. And that is a problem, and I think the federations should do more work together to get in touch with game developers. So the new games that are developed, they would already be something that they could discuss with the international federations. All right. Any more? If not, then I want to thank you all. It's been a pleasure being here. It's my first time in Narva. Not my first time in Estonia, but in Narva it's the first time here. It's been absolute pleasure. Thank you for translating. It's been a pleasure working with you. And I think this is it for now. And we will continue with some CSGO match later today. Thank you.
Спасибо всем, что вы здесь были. Это интересный экспириенс для Мики, потому что это его первый раз в Нарве. Спасибо.
Like a Hellcat.